Hi everybody, this is Patty Sliney, Handy Quilter National Educator, and I wanted to go ahead and record a quick little video if I could for some of you. We had a person on one of our social media Facebook groups, I believe it was on the Pro Stitcher Quilters group, who was trying to line up point-to-point designs so they all connected horizontally and evenly in a really easy way. It happened to be she was using a point-to-point alphabet. She was trying to create a word. So all the letters connected, start to finish. So when she baselined it, it was just one word or one phrase, start to finish, in an easy way. And there are a couple ways we can do this, and it depends on which computerized robotic system you have, whether you have Pro Stitcher Premium or Pro Stitcher Lite, because there is a feature in Premium that's not included in Lite that makes this really easy to do. So I'm actually going to show you both ways, because even for Pro Stitcher Premium users, the second way to connect point-to-point designs will come in handy if you happen to open a bunch of point-to-point designs, maybe not in stitching order, in whatever order, and you want to line them up in stitching order. That would be the technique you would use. So I'm going to show you the first technique that is only for Pro Stitcher Premium users, and then I'll show you the other technique that uses Modify Reposition. So for our Pro Stitcher Premium users, I want you to go to your Settings tab, and then I want you to click on Advanced. It will automatically default to General in the drop-down box. And over here, in your right sidebar, I want you to touch or click on Load Point-to-Point. We have two load options available in Pro Stitcher Premium. In Pro Stitcher Lite, it only loads one way. Load start point at crosshairs. That's your only option. But in Premium, we have two loading options. So I want you to select Load Point-to-Point. So once we have that selected, let's go and try to line up some point-to-point letters. So I'm going to open up my first design. The first design that you open will always by default load to your crosshairs. So you're going to have this design's start point, the very first design, load to your crosshairs. So let me go ahead. I have the point-to-point alphabet in my, well, it says Quiltable, but it's Pro Stitcher folder, and I bought this on ProStitcher.com. It's a Letterman 8-inch alphabet. So I'm going to select G, and I can either touch it and click open, or I can double tap it. Okay, now as you see, the design start point loaded to my crosshairs, but I have load point-to-point turned on. So watch what happens when I open the next letter, which I happen to have here because I practiced this for you before I did the video. So I'm going to open the O, and as you can see, the start point of the second design or subsequent design is going to load on top of the end point of your previous design. That's what load point-to-point does. So you always want to make sure your subsequent design is selected when you go to open the next one. So I'm going to open a space, because this is the first word, but I want a space in between it. So this is just a line segment that I created using Pro Stitcher Record and Mark. I created a little line segment as a space. It's selected, so now I'm going to open my next design, which is an N, which I happen to have in the drop-down box, but if it wasn't there, I'd open my folder. So again, the start point of my subsequent design is going to land right on top of the stop point of the previous. So you just always want to make sure that the last design you opened is selected, and you can tell it's selected because it's black. I'm going to make my workspace tab visible so you can see what I'm typing here, what I'm opening. So now I'm going to open the O again, and I'm going to open a T, and I'm going to open an R, and I open an E, and then I'm going to open a space. Then I'm going to open a D. Let's see if it's here. It only remembers like the last 10 or so designs that you open. So if it's beyond that, it won't be in my drop-down box. No worries. Going back to my folder. They're listed alphabetically, so I'm going to scroll down to my D, double tap it, or double click it, and then I'm going to open an A. There it is. And an M. And an E. Okay. So now I have my phrase that I want to stitch out, but I want to connect all of these. I want to group them all so I can baseline them and make them one single design. Two ways you can select them. You can put your finger, I have select turned on, so you can put your finger up here in the upper left and then draw a rectangular box that is going to encompass all of these. So if I start up here, far to the left and above, hold my finger on the screen and drag a box and let go, it's selected everything. You know it's all selected because I have a temporary group that has all the letters. G-O space, Noter space, Dame. And you know they're all selected because they're all black. And you also know they're all connected because there is a black square between every single design. So all the start and end points are connected. So if I baseline, it's going to turn this temporary group into a merged group. And I have one single design. That's what baseline does. It will turn your multiple designs into one single design as though it was digitized this way in the first place. And then I would save it and I would reposition it on my quilt or create an area and align it into the area and stitch it out. So that's the easy and fast way in Premium. But what if you don't have Pro Stitcher Premium? What if you have Pro Stitcher Lite? Or what if you have Premium and you opened up those letters but you didn't open them up in stitching order? They're all in different order. So no worries. Let's go back and change this to load start point at crosshairs as though I were in Lite. And this is how you would align your letters from left to right. And I recommend, or your designs, doesn't have to be letters, it can be any point-to-point design. And I recommend you open them up in the order that you would prefer to stitch them. So it's a little bit easier. All right, so let's go ahead and do that again. I'm looking for the G. Not there. Oh, open. It's going to open to the last folder I opened last time. That's how Pro Stitcher works. When you click File Design Open, it will open up into whatever folder you opened a design up previously. So let's go find the G, double tap it. Now, I'm going to go to Modify, Reposition, and I want to put my crosshairs at the endpoint. So I go to Modify, Reposition, Endpoint, and that moves the design to, or that moves the design to endpoint to my crosshairs. Sorry. What I recommend if you're doing this at your quilt is to drop your needle. That way your crosshairs on your screen won't move. Because remember, your crosshairs on the screen are representing your needle on your quilt top. So we don't want the crosshairs to move. They need to stay right on that stop point. So if you drop your needle down in the quilt, that'll prevent the crosshairs from moving. Just remember, raise your needle before you stitch. So now I'm going to go ahead and open my next design. And remember, I have this set to load start point to crosshairs. So when I open up the O's start point is going to load right to my crosshairs, which happens to be right on top of the endpoint of my previous design. Pretty easy. So the next step is we want to combine these. And again, I could draw the rectangle around it, or here's another way to select everything. First, you're going to use your select none and deselect everything. And since these are in correct stitching order, I can do a select all, and it's going to put them in a temporary group. It'll stitch the G first and the O next, and I can baseline it. Okay. So now we have one design that says go. Again, I'm going to do a modify reposition endpoint, move the design's endpoint to my crosshairs, and now I'm going to open up my space. And again, the space design start point will load on top of my crosshairs because that's how I have it set. I'm going to select none, select all, baseline, and then repeat these steps over and over again. Move the new design's endpoint to my crosshairs, open up my next design, which would be an N. See it? Open it. Go get our N. Double tap. And then I'm going to select none, select all, baseline. And then I'm going to move this design's endpoint to my crosshairs, modify reposition, endpoint, and then just keep opening my letters. Select none, select all, baseline, modify, reposition, endpoint, open up the T, out of my lineup, go back to my folder, open up the T, scroll down because it's in alphabetical order, T, double tap, select none, select all, baseline, modify, reposition, endpoint. Load the R, select none, select all, baseline, modify, reposition, endpoint. And I'll just add the last E in there. We could stop because it will make sense to you, I think, at this point. So that's how you would do it in ProStitcher Lite. Or, let me undo my merged group. Well, can't really see it. If you had in your right sidebar in the workspace tab, if you had all your letters and they were in incorrect order, you can select them and then do the modify reposition and get the letters lined up in correct order so they stitch out in the order you want them to stitch out. So, but that's for another video. So I just wanted to show you the two ways to connect point-to-point designs, either in ProStitcher Premium or ProStitcher Lite. I hope this little video was helpful. So go out there and practice this in ProStitcher and simulation on your laptop. This is a perfect exercise to do in your in simulation on your laptop. So have a little fun, learn a little bit about ProStitcher, and have a great time at your laptop.